You know how they say, stories aren't real, they can't hurt you? That's a lie. And if you don't believe me, I want you to listen closely to what I'm about to tell you. Because once you do, you'll never sleep the same way again. It started with an email. No subject, no sender, just one line in the body. Do not listen to the stories after midnight. If you hear them, they'll find you. I laughed at first, thought it was some dumb chain mail or ARG nonsense. Until the next night, at exactly 12:03 a.m., my phone started playing an audio file. I never downloaded it. I never pressed play. But there it was, a soft, whispering voice telling a story so disturbing, so specific. It felt like they were talking about me. The story was about a man who would wake up at night and see a second version of himself standing at the foot of his bed. A version that smiled but never blinked. And every night, that version would move a little closer until it eventually took his place. I thought it was creepy, sure, but it's just a story, right? That's what I kept telling myself. Until 2 days later, I found muddy footprints in my hallway. Barefoot, too big to be mine. And every night after that, the stories kept coming. Each story was worse than the last. Each one eerily personalized. They talked about my apartment layout, my broken clock, the crack in my ceiling above my bed. One story told me about a man who heard tapping from inside his closet. When he finally opened it, there was nothing inside, but the tapping never stopped. It was coming from behind the walls. When the police eventually broke the wall open, they found a tunnel, and inside the tunnel, scratched in the dirt, was his own name. That night, I heard tapping, soft, rhythmic, coming from the wall behind my bed. I tried to ignore it, told myself it was pipes, neighbors, the wind, until 3 a.m., when the tapping stopped, and I got a text message from an unknown number. You shouldn't have listened. I blocked the number, deleted the emails, turned my phone off, but the stories didn't stop. I started hearing them, even when my phone was off, on the radio when no station was playing, in the static of the TV when it was unplugged, even in my dreams. One night, the story was about a woman who kept hearing footsteps in her attic. When she finally gathered the courage to check, she found dozens of cassette tapes, each one labeled with the date of her birth, her first day of school, her first heartbreak, recordings of her entire life. Someone had been listening, her entire life. The next morning, I found a package outside my door. No address, no sender. Inside was a single cassette tape. The label read, "The night you stopped believing in ghosts." I don't even remember when that night was. But when I played the tape, it was a recording of me, breathing, sleeping, and then, at exactly 3:33 a.m., a faint whisper, "We're almost there." That's when I noticed something else. Each story wasn't random. They were connected. Each one contained details that only I would know, and each one ended with the same phrase. They're almost there. The final story came last night, and this is the reason I'm telling you all this now, because I need you to understand the mistake I made. The story was about a man, sitting in his apartment, listening to a voice, telling him not to listen to the stories at night. And as the story progressed, it described everything. The clothes I was wearing, the dishes in my sink, the exact time on my wall clock. Then the voice said something that made my blood freeze. You think you're listening to a story, but you're not. You're part of it now. I shut off my phone, unplugged everything, left my apartment, and sat in my car in the middle of an empty street, engine running, trying to escape the voice. And then, the final line played, clear as day, not from my phone, not from the radio, but from the backseat of my car. "We're here." I turned around, and I swear to you, I saw something sitting there. Not a person, not a shadow, something that looked exactly like me, smiling and whispering, "Now it's your turn to tell the story." And here's the part you won't understand until it's too late. Because by listening to this, you've already started hearing the stories too. Maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but one night, when the clock hits 3:33 a.m., you'll hear it, the tapping, the whispers, and a voice saying, "We're almost there. You're still here." Good, because now, I want to tell you something that no one else will. Do you remember when I said, you think you're listening to a story, but you're not? You're part of it now. It wasn't just a line, it was a trigger. These stories, they don't want you to be scared. They want you to listen. Because the moment you listen, they latch onto you. They know your voice. They know your fear. And they know how to find you. You see, these aren't just fictional tales. They're invitations, cursed stories, designed like a virus, spreading from ear to ear. Every time you hear one, a piece of it stays with you, whispers when you're alone, shows up in the corner of your mirror when you're not looking. It's not the ghost you should be scared of, it's the story itself. Because tonight, when you go to sleep, your mind will replay this. Your subconscious will keep asking, what if it's true? And that's when it'll start knocking. But here's the cruel part. You can't stop it now. You've already listened. The clock has already started ticking. People think it's the monsters outside they should fear, but the real nightmare is the one that crawls inside your head and waits quietly until you're alone in the dark. And when you hear tapping behind the wall, when you see a shadow move even though nothing's there, when you hear your own voice whisper back to you at night, it won't be a dream. It won't be a coincidence. It'll be the story you're living now. Because here's how it always ends. Once you've heard the stories, you start telling them. So if tonight you feel like someone's watching, if you hear footsteps in your hallway, if you wake up at 3:33 a.m. and hear a voice whisper, it's your turn now. Don't scream, don't run, and whatever you do, don't listen. Because if you do, you'll never be able to stop. And one night, you'll find yourself, like me, sitting in the dark, telling someone else, warning, don't listen to these scary stories at night.